Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is February 20th, and today we're going to check out this system in some detail that's moving into the Pacific Northwest. You can see that cold air streaming across the Pacific Ocean and into the Pacific Northwest with some convergent zone bands showing up here on infrared satellite. That's going to continue on at least until tomorrow, Monday. And we'll take a look at the weather around the rest of the country briefly. Then we'll take a look at some of the temperatures we can expect midweek coming up here with the arrival of this very cold air. We'll also take a detailed look at some of the precipitation type we can expect across western Washington and Oregon. And goes without saying, we're going to get big snowfall totals that are already ongoing through the Cascade Mountains, some of the coastal ranges, and the Rockies of British Columbia, Idaho, and Montana as well. So let's just jump right in here. You can see all these winter weather advisories for Oregon and winter storm warnings for the Central Cascades in Washington. Check out Montana, basically blanketed by winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings, as they're getting the same system we are here. Some big winds over there too. And you can see a little wind advisory there for Bellingham. We'll take a look at what we can expect as far as wind concerns through the Pacific Northwest here as well. And some blizzard conditions still ongoing for the northern states there, but generally quiet around the rest of the country for the most part. And they're expecting a winter storm all the way down into Southern California. The same system is going to spin all the way down the west coast here and bring some mountain snows and high winds for those areas as well. So this is for Southern California. We're talking about this for Tuesday and Wednesday. Same system we're getting now. It's going to drop that snow level all the way down to 2,000 feet down there, which is pretty low for Southern California. So if you have any interest down there, or if you're traveling, heads up. And here is for the Seattle-Tacoma area National Weather Forecast discussion here. You can see the winter storm warning for Central Cascades, a wind advisory again, and some winter weather advisories for the Cascades as the big snows continue to pile up. And you can see up towards Bellingham, they're expecting gusts 45 to 55 miles per hour. These are those outflow winds, this really cold air blasting through the interior of British Columbia, through the Fraser River Gap and out over into western Whatcom County. This is going to come across the San Juans too. I'm a little bit surprised they're not mentioning that area with the wind advisory as well. But anyway, looking here, currently you can see this trough is digging out nicely over us. And you'll notice here too, here's Sunday afternoon, and notice it kind of gets replenished a little bit as that colder air, the second wave of the colder air and the coldest air moves out over us here. And it doesn't have a great trajectory for lowland snow for western Washington, Oregon, but it might be enough to bring a little bit of measurable snowfall down to the surface, or at least in the higher hilltops there. And we'll take a look at that here in a minute. And you can see this really cold air aloft. This is at 18,000 feet, 500 millibars, moves all the way down and just carves out over the southwest USA. So bringing winter conditions all the way down the west coast with this round. Checking out, this is 100-meter wind heights. You can see everything is basically onshore at this point as we're getting some convergent zone activity here through the Puget Sound this morning. It's kind of clearing out now, going off into the mountains, and then that'll redevelop and wane, and then redevelop again on into this afternoon and on into tonight and Monday as well, as we get some convective showers moving down through the day today and on into tomorrow morning and afternoon. And this system will eventually slide all the way down into western Oregon, as they're getting pretty strong onshore flow as it is right now. So the mountain snows are already starting to pile up there in portions of Oregon as well. But check this out as we go into the future here a little bit. Here's Monday morning. You can see this outflow start to take shape over here of the Fraser River Valley and start to flow out into Washington with some southerlies here. And there's going to be kind of a modified little Arctic front that moves down. You can kind of see this here where the northerlies and southerlies are meeting over the central Puget Sound. You notice that little spin here, this little meso low as it slides down over western Oregon as well. And you can see these powerful northeast winds going through eastern Washington as well. Low wind chill readings at this, very cold air coming on. And then you can see by Tuesday or Monday night into Tuesday morning, basically we're all offshore across the region, and the precip should really be tapering off at this point as the cold air fully overtakes the region here. And you can see some strong winds going on through the Fraser River Gap. That's what they're talking about for those gusts, 45 to 55 miles per hour. Some pretty strong winds, like I said, in eastern Washington too, and northerlies all the way down through eastern Oregon as well. Now let's look at the sea level pressure. So this is the trough that's affecting us now. And you can see this is early Monday morning. Notice this little bit of low pressure here. That's kind of the modified Arctic boundary here as it moves down. I know we'll have to just check this out in the forecast here. We'll check out the really high resolution UW model and see what kind of snow it's calling for. But you can see there's a pretty good pressure gradient going across British Columbia. It's going to allow some of that colder air to get down through. And when these northerlies meet with the southerlies, we might get some convection and we might drop some snowfall on the higher elevations here, or even briefly down to around sea level for portions of the Puget Sound. So we'll take a look at that, and you can see the trough switch all the way down the west coast here as we get overtaken by this high pressure and very cold air moving out over the Pacific Northwest here. Now this is accumulated snowfall. This is the Puget Sound we're going to highlight here first, and we'll look at the rest of Washington and Oregon as we go. Now as we go on into Sunday, you'll notice the high resolution model, how it really isolates the terrain and doesn't allow these accumulations to bleed into the lowlands. Now as we go into this afternoon here, it starts to call for a little bit later this morning. I don't know if the flakes are flying yet at all in any of these areas of these showers that we're moving off this morning. But you can see as we get into late tonight, it starts to show a little bit of snowfall accumulation for some of the higher hills around the Puget Sound here. And now the feature I want to show you guys is this. You'll notice this on Monday morning. You see the snow start to pile up a little bit on I-5 there near Everett. And you'll notice this kind of shift to the south. So if you watch these winds very carefully in here, this is about 9 a.m. Monday morning. As these turn northerly, that's the mark of that modified Arctic boundary that moves down the Sound. It shows even some snow accumulation for West Seattle and maybe the SeaTac Hill, and of course north of Seattle up over 2 inches here on the model here. And it's yet to be seen if the temperatures are going to be cold enough to actually support accumulating snowfall, but there could be brief accumulations is the main takeaway from this model run here. Now taking a wider look here, this is total snow accumulation over a 48-hour period. You can see some of these areas are up towards 3 feet near Mount Rainier, as you can see, and some areas, over 1.5 feet here for some of the Cascades. You can see the terrain features as we go here, and some good amounts for the Olympic Mountains, the higher elevation, Southwest Washington. Now checking out the entire region here as we put this into motion, you can see the snow just piling up over the Rockies, the Cascades, some of the coastal range for Oregon getting some snowfall. And you can notice how that shifts down to the south there. Big snowfalls in the Cascades all the way down to California there. And you can see northeast Oregon really getting on the action. And you see how the lowlands don't really have that much snow. Maybe, I don't know if this is going to happen. I don't think this would be accumulating in the Willamette Valley. You might see a few flakes fly on the higher hills, possibly as we go into Monday night. So we'll have to watch that. And you can see the Columbia River Basin out here, just not getting much snowfall in the lower elevations. But once you get towards the Cascades, you can start to see some snowfall accumulations in the higher terrain there. Now we're going to look at the reflectivity. This kind of is going to highlight what we're looking at. This was last night. It picked up that convergence zone last night pretty good here. And then this morning, here comes this morning's feature moving through here and kind of moving out. And then you can see going through the afternoon today, there's some pretty good convective looking activity moving down the Sound. This is about 1 p.m. And again, this is last night's run. There's a model run going on right now, but it is not complete. So I'm just using last night's run here. But check out the convective activity about 1 p.m. and you can see it redevelops again as we go on into the evening here. Check out some of these, some of this potential thunderstorm activity, maybe some small hail as this moves through. And then you'll notice as we get into Monday morning, things start to get squirrely, and you'll notice this band moving down out of the north. This is that mark, that potential modified Arctic boundary as the northerlies start to finally make their way through British Columbia into the Puget Sound. There's going to be some decent convergence as this slides down, and this could bring some small hail, even a lightning strike as it goes through Monday morning. And you can kind of see that band set up there as it finally makes its way through the Puget Sound, going into Monday afternoon with just a few light residual showers going on through Monday night. So now looking around the rest of the Pacific Northwest here, you see the convergent zone activity last night and then in this morning as it moves off into the Cascades. And then you see these convective features moving down the Sound today, thunderstorm potential, and you could even get a lightning strike all the way through western Oregon, anywhere in the Cascades, even Willamette Valleys. You can see some of these showers moving through here this afternoon. And any sunbreak is going to enhance that convective potential here. And you'll see this tonight. There's some pretty strong signals for some precipitation, convective of nature, moving through the sound here tonight. And you can see the strong onshore flow out of the northwest here for the Oregon coast here. So yeah, there is a potential for a lightning strike here. And then you'll see that Arctic boundary as it gets going here Monday morning and then kind of moves down. You'll see it curlicue across western Oregon there. So not a big snowmaker for the lowlands, of course, but I feel that people are going to get pretty excited if you see any snowflakes at all at this time of year. Now looking at the temperatures coming up here for this week, check out as you go into Wednesday morning, things really cool down, and they're talking about, some of the models are talking about us getting down towards 20 degrees potentially in the Seattle area. So pretty cold. This would be a record low in February for SeaTac. Then you can see as we go on into Thursday morning, there might be some high clouds that keep us a little bit warmer than Wednesday morning. And you can see Friday looks like we clear out a little bit again, and the temperatures would drop back down with that clearing as we go on into Friday morning for Seattle. Here's Portland. So this cold air is going to settle in eastern Washington and Oregon pretty well. So that's going to give them a chance for some of that air to move through the gorge into Portland. You can see how they're actually colder than Seattle. Portland is colder than Seattle in this example here. This is Wednesday morning. The higher clouds keep us a little bit warmer here going on into Thursday morning, and Friday morning also pretty chilly as well. Here's Spokane. Check this out, down into the single digits Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning. Then we warm up a little bit, but still in the single digits looks like on Thursday morning into Friday morning. So very cold period coming up here. So if you have any outdoor interests, you're farming out there in eastern Washington, Oregon, heads up, this is going to be a huge pattern shift to this colder air. Here's Pendleton, pretty much similar to Spokane. Eastern portions of the state are going to get more cold air than the western. And here's Brookings, just wanted to show you. This is making it all the way out to the southwest Oregon coast. Pretty chilly morning on Wednesday morning, and only warming up around 40 for Brookings on Wednesday during the day. And then they start to modify a bit as this system starts to move south out of the area. Here's Bellingham. Check it out how cold it gets here. Starting Tuesday morning, those northeast winds are going to be going. It's going to bring that colder air in there. It doesn't look like they're going to get above freezing there on Tuesday, and maybe even Wednesday not above freezing as they slowly start to recover here later on into next week. Thursday maybe getting above freezing, but a very cold period. You might get a couple days below freezing, maybe even 3 days there for Bellingham. And here's Bellingham's winds out of the northeast there. You can see why they're calling for that wind advisory, 45 to 50 mile per hour gusts, as these winds really start to kick up tomorrow afternoon for Whatcom County there. And this is going to come across the San Juan Islands as well. Now checking out Seattle-Tacoma, these are the northerlies moving down the sound with that after the modified Arctic front moves through. So there's some pretty gusty north winds, and it'll feel pretty brisk out there. There's going to be some chilly wind chill temperatures going across the Seattle metropolitan area and the Puget Sound as we go into Tuesday night, and then Wednesday morning we're going to be really chilly when you wake up. Portland looks like some east winds kicking up here as we go on to Monday night. You can see some of these gusty winds up towards in the 20s generally. Here's Ephrata. Check out how strong some of these northeast winds are going to be moving across eastern Washington here, and you can see some gusts up towards 40 miles per hour, and it's going to be very chilly here too by Tuesday night. So wind chill readings will be quite low for all eastern portions of the state, and including eastern Oregon, of course, also. And as we go off into the extended here, let's take a look at what we can expect. Here we go. This is last night's European run. That trough digs out nicely. And that second shot of air, had this trajectory been a little bit more off the BC coast and fed right back into western portions, we would have been looking at a little bit better chance for some accumulating snowfall at the surface. But we have to take what we can get there, and it's going to bring the cold air, but the trajectory is just not great for lowland snow. And so on into the future here, it kind of brings a system up towards us next weekend, and we'll probably have modified the area somewhat. The air mass will modify somewhat, and then by the time the system gets in there, it doesn't show any actual frozen precipitation in the lowlands associated with that. And then you can see off in the extended, it keeps building this ridge and wants to keep this troughing going over the west coast. This is not a great pattern for lowland snow for western Washington and Oregon at this point, but it's worth watching a ridge pushing down cold air over the west coast. It can always change. This is starting to get way out there. This is 330 hours out there, so almost 2 weeks from now. And let's just kind of have a bigger look at the bigger picture of things here too. You see that Arctic front just blasting down through Montana there, just really hammering the whole state as this kind of brings our big mountain snows here. And you can see this Arctic air settling down over British Columbia with this high allowing that cold air to get into the region here. And notice how this moves all the way down into the mountains of Southern California. The Intermountain West gets some snowfall. That's good for drought concerns. We need a couple more of these systems going on, and to help these drought concerns, as you guys saw on the drought monitor a few days ago, the entire West is really under some pretty significant drought conditions. So if we back that up here, you can kind of see this Monday morning, this little remnant troughing. That's going to be when our modified Arctic front moves down during the day on Monday. And so we'll have to see what that brings. It's hard to say. The temperature is going to be really marginal for snowfall accumulations. I think anything is going to be generally light, but it will be nice to see some snowfall falling. And the other fun thing with this event is that you could get a lightning strike. Watch for those dark clouds moving overhead. That small hail is always fun when it covers the ground. So that's kind of what I'm looking for out of this event. Maybe some small hail, a lightning strike. That's kind of what, that's what I find to be the most fun at this time of year. We had a pretty good snowfall there in December, and that was a pretty significant storm that we were below freezing here at SeaTac for 5 out of the 6 days. It brought really cold temperatures across the region. And then after that, it's almost like winter is shut off. So this is going to be a return to winter here for the next several days as we go on into next week. But enjoy those showers today, maybe some small hail, lightning strike, and cross your fingers if you're a snow lover on Monday morning. You might wake up to a coating of snow in some areas of the Puget Sound. If not, just drive up into the mountains and you'll be blessed with all the snow you can handle, really. So anyway, we'll check this out one more time tomorrow morning and see what the models show. And maybe it'll be snowing in some areas of the Puget Sound by the time we look at this tomorrow as well. So thanks for watching, you guys, and I will talk to you later.